Hello, my name is James, and I'm going to start this off by asking, Cars, the Pixar movie, good old Lightning McQueen and Mater and the Queen?
Queen, McMissile, McQueen, McMissile.
Well, the original Cars movie came out in 2006 to critical acclaim, making it one of Pixar's strongest brands, and, as basic tradition, with any successful franchise, someone wants to profit off of it. So we turn to the dark and grimy bootlegs. Bootlegs are when companies try to make products of certain IPs, hoping to trick consumers into believing they're the original source. Bootlegging is common in goods, movies, TV shows, toys, anything. If something is profitable, a cheap knockoff will follow suit. So, in the context of Cars, we have this gem known as A Car's Life, Sparky's Big Adventure. This franchise of movies, and yes, franchise, there's 4. Follows the title character, Sparky. Not my friend, though. This one's a car. Sparky and his family of cars deal with wacky hijinks throughout the 4 movies, and I'm going to commentate all 4. Dear God, give me the strength. So, let's start with A Car's Life 1
follows the escapades of Sparky, an ugly and obnoxious young car who longs to be independent. However, his father Fender is often worrying about him, which isn't too surprising considering how reckless the little douche is. When they arrive at Fender's gas stations, trouble soon rears its head when Diesel, the widow of Fender's dead nephew, shows up and proves to be a bad influence on Sparky.
This movie was also made in 2006, and in my opinion, is the worst looking one in the series. More or less being made by a family as the production team. Half of the characters are named after people voicing them. This movie being produced by Sterling Entertainment, which is known for such classics as... I'm gonna be honest here, I'm not sure if half of the lineup is horror, gore, porn, or some type of fetish. I keep seeing half-naked women covered in blood and cuts, and I am so confused. Are these slashers or pornos? Editor James here. It's pornos. Weird gore fetish pornos, but yeah. Also, it was the wrong Sterling Entertainment. I'm leaving this in because it's funny. The movie starts with Sparky and Fender, his dad, out on a drive. Sparky is doing a lot of illegal road shit, and Fender doesn't like it. Sparky does not care. Speeds away doing flips? Don't know why there's random rants out in the desert, but alright. Then they get pulled over and Sparky gets away with it. Then they go visit Sparky's dead cousin, Piston, which implies the cars can die, and that the only thing remaining was a chunk? The fuck happened? Then they go back to the gas station they run, I guess, and we meet more characters like Norbert, the sentient gas pump, Speedy, who is so fucking annoying.
Well, yeah, why? Don't I look okay?
Gracie, who is a literal child.
Good morning, Sparky, you're so funny.
Julia, who has one line.
Good morning.
That's it?
And Diesel, the villain. How can you tell? She smokes.
You're smoking. No smoking.
Well, Sparky hates his dad, so Diesel just grooms them into doing stupid shit, like body modification. Going to a movie that's a setup to get their gas leached, which apparently is a common problem.
Gas leeches.
Gas leeches.
Gas leeches! Those parasites are gross! It's lucky they didn't kill you!
And it leaves them almost dead, so I guess gas is blood? Because they cry oil, which means that's water. But in this scene, they cover her windshield in oil, which is water.
Oil? Oh, I can't see! Help! Help!
And she's blind? The f you mean blind? Your eyes are here! Then he's convinced to go to the Badlands, which are vast and open, so he can ride free, but uh-oh, he damages himself, then is tricked into being kidnapped and almost killed. Then Speedy gets her fucking head caved in, and the cop shoots a fucking missile? What is happening? And Diesel's arrested. Then we see Gracie, who last we saw ran from the gas station, also get modified, which makes Fender reveal he was also modded at one point and won a speed record. Then they drive away and roll credits that are in Comic Sans. So that movie was kind of but I'm not going to fault it on its animation or its voice acting because this was literally just a family-ran project. The real shady shit doesn't come until literally after the movie came out, which led to the creation of Sparkplug Entertainment, founded by Michael Shelp, and the entertainment company has a lot of bootleg movies under their belt, like Plan B or An Ant's Life. Whatever, it's time to move on to the second movie anyway. So A Car's Life 2 is more or less the same movie but with a bigger budget. We get new story elements, new characters, new trials and problems, but it's literally just Sparky being a dick and not listening to his dad. The biggest thing about Car's Life 2 is Diesel is now pink instead of green for whatever reason. A few design changes between movies occur, like most of the characters getting a bit more cartoonish, but don't fret, Sparky still looks like a mouth breather. Also, they lobotomized Gracie.
Please kill me.
But of course, there's one big thing about this movie that needs to be said. The voice acting. It got an update, and the cast of people is now more than the family. For instance, the biggest name in the room.
Hey! It's me! Goku!
That's right, Sean Schemmel, the English voice actor for Goku, is now Fender. This is so weird. You don't know how bizarre it is watching this, hearing his voice. I was half expecting Fender to go Super Saiyan.
I am the Super Saiyan Son Goku!
That aside, there's a few more voice changes in these movies since it's consistent with the remaining ones. So we could call the first movie kind of like a pilot, and the rest the Sparkplug trilogy. The Sparkplug trilogy definitely improved the series in some spots, but if you take a shit on a corpse and put a flower on it, is it really improved? So we start off on another random drive with Sparky and Fender arguing, but Gracie, who isn't modded anymore, is just there. Then they discover that a new interstate exit is being built into their town being called El Coche. Fender, being a f***ing boomer, hates everything new, like the interstate, GPSs, fun, I don't fucking know. So they go back to the gas station, where we hear the most drastic voice change in the entire recast. Norbert in the pilot sounded like a high-pitched boy, noting they used he pronouns.
Well, Speedy wants to restack the tires, but that's not going well.
But in this, I guess the smoke from Diesel's cigarette fried his voice, because...
What have you guys been up to?
But we also see that Julia is just gone. One line, then dip from reality.
Change the world. My final message. Goodbye.
Then Diesel comes back from prison, somehow, and says she's starting a new business, a gas station across the street from Fender's, which is petty as fuck, but okay. Sparky really wants his own things, like any kid does, so Fender puts him to work to earn the things he wants. That's a pretty good message, working hard toward your goals. And Fender also tries to show Sparky that the old ways can still be useful. But Sparky's a little shithead and blatantly just ignores his dad's advice, causing confusion and delay, which leads to Sparky quitting and finding work somewhere else. Now, let me use this time to introduce some of the new characters. Zipper is related to Sparky and is from the big city, coming to El Coche to work on the new interstate exit, and also has a crush on Speedy. Somehow. Then there's Bankerman, who's the bank man. He has the best voice in the entire trilogy.
Howdy, folks. Fill her up, Norbert.
So Sparky looking for a job leads him working for Diesel, who uses him, because she's evil. Then the exit's complete and some big reviewer is coming to town and was gonna review Fender's station, but because Sparky got lost the night before trying to get home, he falls asleep and doesn't greet the critic, which then leads to them reviewing Diesel's station instead. After the review is out, Diesel tries to get Fender's station shut down by diluting their gas. But Sparky's new tech, aka a webcam, catches them. Then Diesel keeps extorting Sparky for money until he quits and gets put on another job, which is a death circus. Then Fender stops it, which leads to Diesel trying to destroy the gas station, which only leads her to prison. Again. Then everything is fine and roll credits. So what should be taken away from this movie going forward? Well, a common thing that happens is Sparky will constantly be manipulated and tricked into doing shit that does more harm than good to him. Diesel will, no matter what, find a way out of prison. Zipper stayed in El Coche and actually married Speedy at the end of the second movie. And Fender is going to usually be upset at Sparky. Now we have Cars Life 3, The Royal Heist. This movie can be chalked up to Fender's racism being warranted. We follow Sparky in the town of El Coche with their visit from the Queen of Carlandia. During her visit, someone stole her jewels, and now the entire town is under investigation. This movie really likes to drag its feet. The queen doesn't show up until a third of the movie is done. Besides that, for once, I kind of feel bad for Sparky. During this movie, the queen's assistant, Struts, makes Sparky a guard for the queen, which sounded nice at first since he was paid, but then he basically has everything thrown onto him. And bro just wanted a race. This fucking backwater town kid is given the task of guarding the queen. Like, no shit, he ain't gonna do well. This movie makes me genuinely annoyed, so let's see why it does. So this movie starts with Bankerman closing the bank and turning it into a cafe/shop. During him talking about it, Struts overhears them saying the vault will be abandoned, and he makes himself known. He learns that there's a race happening, which is sponsored by Diesel, which she says is for charity. Struts uses this as a way to bring the queen to El Coche, with mixed responses. The biggest denier of the visit is Fender. He thinks everyone in Carlandia is a stuck-up asshole who only cares about wealth and power. So Fender's a conservative. Then after Sparky is hired as a guard, he's told to do so much and stand guard, which makes him have less time to practice for the race. Diesel says he can go practice since no one is in the garage yet, and Struts already wasn't doing his job, so who the f cares? And honestly, Diesel's right. So Sparky goes to practice all night and is super tired when the queen arrives. Sparky turning up to an important visit while half asleep so he ruins it? Huh, familiar. Then the night of the queen's arrival, Sparky practices once more while Struts just f***s off, not doing anything that he told Sparky they would do, and Sparky falls asleep on the job. While asleep, someone steals the queen's jewels. Now it's time for Struts and Sparky to investigate. Struts immediately points the yellow golf ball at Diesel, which, yeah, fair, I would too. But Diesel defends herself by pointing out that she couldn't reach anything, as we saw before. So she, for once, isn't guilty of the crime. Then the finger is moved to Otto, the guy who works at the auto body shop. While there, they find what originally Struts immediately said was pearls was packing peanuts, which makes him immediately suspect Walter, the Lizzie of El Coche. But Walter defends himself by saying he has only exactly 15 peanuts, which are accounted for, so he's not guilty. And Struts gets paint on his peanut. Then the blame is shifted to Fender, which, yeah, he's racist, but not a thief.
I'm a villain, not a monster.
Which, when investigated, it is found that he had a pearl in his toolbox, so he's thrown into jail. But Sparky was able to clear Fender by showing the broken security camera filming his dad that night of the crime, so he's not guilty. Noticing a pattern, the blame just moving to each person with shitty evidence. Then we move on to this bitch, who is obsessed with accessorizing. And I'll give Struts this one. She does look sus as hell with all that bling on after they were stolen. But Sparky actually clears her because there was no oil left at the castle. Then Struts throws a hissy fit at Sparky for proving him wrong, which leads to the funniest line in the entire movie.
I love your new look.
Oh, your majesty.
Work that hood, girlfriend.
Oh.
Then Fender stops being racist and invites the queen to a tailgate party. That's fucking funny. Let's make peace with Kim Jong-un by inviting him to the street function. But the chief investigator bike guy brings a lie detector test, and Struts exploits the fuck out of Sparky, being a naive kid and using it to make him look worse than Diesel. So Sparky is now the main suspect, which Fender actually objects, saying he did it, so Sparky wouldn't go to jail. Fender topped out at 2024. But right before he's taken away, Sparky trials Struts, which leads them to going back to the abandoned bank vault to find all the jewels with yellow paint stains. So Struts is immediately arrested, and Sparky wins the race! Also, there was an entire B-plot with Speedy and Zipper's failing marriage, but I don't give a fuck about that. Then the credits are a dance break in the f***ing headspace from Omori? Sure. This one has to be my least favorite so far, mostly because Struts was so f***ing annoying. Like, I get he's the antagonist in this and we're not supposed to like him, but he genuinely got on my nerves. But this movie did get some laughs out of me for probably not intentional reasons. Also, Diesel not being the antagonist was interesting. But now we move on to the last one.
Finally!
Cars Life 4 Junkyard Blues is an installment, the movie that pushed it farther than Pixar. For now. This movie has one glaring thing about it that makes it stand out above the other three. And no, it's not the Kind Master watermark, that's because I watched these on YouTube. Don't cry, you're a big girl about this. But it's the volume mixing. Sure, these movies, especially the first one, were really loud for some reason, but this one, for some reason, has the music and sound effects turned up. Some scenes, you can barely hear the characters talking. But if you get past that, you get the movie of 2015. So the movie starts with everyone, and this bitch again, at the gas station looking at Fender's new V8 engine. So I guess he's just displaying a brain, then it explodes, and this random ass chatterbox shows up, starts questioning everything, then leaves. Okay. We also learned that Sparky became a private eye detective since the last one, so there's actual world building. And Sparky finally learned how to not have a slack jaw and close his mouth. So there's character growth too! So we move on to the night, where we learn that there's a group of speedsters in El Coche, so the tuner gang. They go into a junkyard where this guy randomly gets called by TLC or some shit to be in a reality TV show. The next day, Fender doesn't blow up the brain, and we learn that there was a robbery at the bank. Now there's a reward for getting it back, so Sparky and the officer get on the case. They go back to investigate the junkyard. Sparky uses some of his newfound detective skills by being fairly observant of a damaged pole. Then the two producers of the reality show arrive. One is named Axel, with a giant arm for the camera, and Gearbox, the chatterbox from before. Then they start planning ways to make the show interesting, and we learn that it's Gracie's birthday. So they throw a party with the tent from Cars Life 2, and Gracie wishes to test the new engine. So they give it to her. Smart. Diesel turns into a mom for some reason, because she says it's not right for Gracie to test it, which, yeah, it is a bit stupid, but she says she'll test it instead. And that makes me think she's gonna steal it, so. Then Gracie tests it by launching like a rocket. Good lord. And then the critic from movie 2 is back, I guess. Then we see Gracie get kidnapped. What the actual Then in the video I watched, there were 2 Discord notifications, and now that's a common occurrence. Then the critic from movie 2 shows up randomly again and starts acting weird as Also, Gearbox keeps acting weird as too. I'm uncomfortable. Then they find Gracie because of this ass turtle, and Frankenstein's monster her back to life. Then Sparky starts to investigate, which leads Gearbox to say it was Bumper. The last time some random person not from El Coche was starting to point fingers after a rise in crime magically when they show up, they ended up being a piece of shit and got thrown in jail, so. Then she has the engine, go figure, but she defended it saying it was for the drama in the reality show. And I already hate reality shows because nothing about them is reality, so yeah. Then the Fender fam is about to leave to visit their aunt because she's sick and everyone has a problem with her, even Diesel. Which leads to the movie getting almost unintelligible.
Still owes me money. She owes me a new mother. Rig's watered-down gas destroyed my whole exhaust system.
Then we meet Rig, an oil rig. This is definitely America. This is America. Then she talks about people trying to steal from her. Then she talks to the critic, who's becoming more unlikable. Is he from Carlandia? And we learn that this oil rig is related to Fender? How the hell does that work? Was Piston just straight up a piston? Is Rig Zipper's mom? What is their family tree? Then the critic tries to disguise on Gracie, I guess, to convince her to steal from Rig? This movie's confusing. Then Critic tries to buy all the gas from Bankerman because there's an embargo from Rig since she was robbed. Then we find out it's the Critic that stole it with the most bullshit delivery of a line ever.
How did that get in there?
Then we start to figure out this phantom plotline that's been happening this entire time. I've elected to ignore it till now since the only point is the ground shakes and a lens flare appears in the back. That's it, with the characters going, "What was that?" So Diet Mater says that he sees it park at the lake, but the reality guys, being totally not sus as hell, says, no, they actually sit here at the overpass exit. Then they hit the road for Carlandia, where they find a scared, stiff, and robbed Zipper. Then they find all the stolen shit in a parking garage, and the Phantom makes his appearance, which makes Sparky immediately destroy their whole image. We learn that the Phantom is a guy named Hood who is looking for the gold with his magnet because the truck is hiding in El Coche. Who guessed? Then some random TNT truck shows up and is arrested, but the TNT is stolen, so now they track it down, which eventually leads to the dam, trying to be blown up, which makes Sparky make the parallel that the speedsters hid in the junkyard right as Diet Mater got the call. So yeah, the gold was found, they were arrested, everything is okay, roll credits. And that's the end of an era. Almost a whole decade of Sparky and his weird-ass world. I'm fairly certain they stopped because Dragon Ball Super started airing, so Shawnee Boy got busy doing something better. This confusing franchise has been one of the weirdest and bizarre things I've ever watched. There's no but, that's it. So lick, soup, drink water, and drive safe.
Behind the clouds, the sun is shining. Believe me, even though you can't quite make it out, you may not see the silver lining, but there's a big blue sky waiting right behind the clouds.